All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Man, covering this Jaws 50th anniversary stuff has been really, really fun. The Mondo capsule collection still up for pre-order, and what we wanted to do today was to go a little deeper on taking a look at the two different vinyl record offerings that Mondo has for Jaws. I mean, Mondo has long been associated with obviously screen printed posters, collectibles, but I think vinyl is a huge part of what they do as well. I dabble, right? I usually buy soundtracks. That's what I buy. I don't tend to buy a lot of like music or vintage records, but when it comes to like limited edition release soundtracks of especially movies that I love, I'm definitely going to be a fan. So I was super excited that they were putting out this 50th anniversary edition of the score. So let's take a look at it, but I just want to ask you guys this. I don't think it's fair to try to rank John Williams scores because it's impossible between Jaws, Jurassic Park, Star Wars.
I mean,
it's really, really hard.
I can do it, but I don't want to.
Yeah, it's like ranking your kids or your cats. They're all good.
I can tell you
way.
his best score of all time.
I think that there are valid arguments for all of the different scores that John Williams has worked on. I think you can make a great case for 7 or 8 of his movies.
Sure.
But is there a chance that the two notes from Jaws are the most iconic and identifiable musical compositioned notes of our lifetime? I think you can make that argument.
I'd rather listen to you try to make that argument and the whatever you just said, but I think it's
compositioned notes.
Most had 2 notes, okay?
I think that's true because, you know, like I know some people would want to say like Star Wars or something like that, but there are a lot of people who would not recognize that music as being the Star Wars. I do not think there's anybody out there who would hear the Jaws theme and not know that it's from Jaws.
It's understated and it's simplistic in like a kind of a refined way, having just the 2 notes to kind of get your anxiety going. I remember hearing the Jaws theme before I ever saw Jaws, and knowing that it meant that there was like imminent doom and death coming your way.
Exactly.
So I think that, yeah, John Williams did a great job with that. Obviously, is amazing. And all the other tracks, like the fanfare stuff and like Barrel Chase and like the sea stuff, like some good music in that score, and I would say that it's one of John Williams' best.
Well, also, Jacob, the pieces of the score, especially when they're out on the orca chasing the shark, they could have gone, like John Williams could have done a more like traditional, like when you think of like an adventure score, like something a little bit more booming and a little bit more, but it's very like at some points it's very light and very fun, and there's a lot of like there's brass and there's flutes, and like you're like, I'm out on the high seas chasing a shark with my best buds. Like, this is great. I love that.
Well, that is, you know, my favorite part of the film, and it's also my favorite track on the album is called Out to Sea.
Okay.
And that is the song that plays while they're like having fun, when it feels like an adventure film. And there's parts of the score that sound like the Amity marching band, you know,
Right.
It's that bum, 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 but like the fanfare part,
So good.
you know, that weaves in and out. And then it also really, really quickly can become really ominous and terrifying. And the score that just plays around the orca when it's dark and, you know, the sharks looming, and it's a perfect score. And you know, Abby was saying those 2 notes are simplistic, and they are, but it's like deceptively simplistic because it's like, sure, that part is simple, but the Jaws theme itself goes on to be, you know, this really full, terrifying sound.
Yep.
It's like, it is very, like the fact, Abby, that you said you knew that before you saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had heard that theme first, the entire Jaws theme, I don't know if I'd be like, I don't know if I want to watch what this is attached.
Right.
Like if this is the
It's
music,
emotionally stirring. Yeah.
yeah, if this is the music, what the fuck are the visuals going to be like?
Right.
You know, so
Mhm.
it's just a beautiful. I mean, it's John Williams at his best.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, this is really cool. So there's a couple different releases here. So let's talk about the actual soundtrack release. It's a double LP, 180 gram vinyl, standard fare for Mondo. I do love the Blood and Water variant. That just looks awesome. Anytime you can get like
Yeah.
the cool part of like collecting vinyl and buying records is getting like the colored the colored variants and the limited edition ones. So really, really cool pressing there. And then if you look at like the outer jacket, like it's got the Jaws 50th anniversary logo. It's like a nice gold embossed. And then it's got this cool feature where you can actually fold the display into like this shark fin. That's how you got to display
That's
it.
insane.
Like that's insane, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have turned it into not just like the fact that they do this kind of thing with their packaging and turn it into, it's almost like a game. You know, you're like, oh, you get it, but then it's its own display case.
But I think
you know?
that speaks to like what collectors want. Like you were talking about it last time, Jacob, with the packaging at Mondo in general. Like they could easily just put this in a record sleeve and people would probably still buy it because it's a really, well-designed, cool, limited edition Jaws soundtrack. But this is what we call in the business added value. And I love that.
added value.
It's almost like it's Jaws 3D.
Whoa!
It flies out.
But
I'd like to see the Jaws 3D version, Mondo.
So
Be cool.
I would as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So the inner casings, the slip covers for the individual records have these two awesome photographs. One looks to be like the opening scene beach, and the other is obviously like the main beach there. But kind of like we were talking about with Peter on our show last week on Toy Anxiety, is like, especially the second one, it's almost like Bruce's perspective looking at the beach.
Yeah.
And is that
Yeah.
awesome or not?
Well, this brings up, these images bring out like so many emotions to me, and it's like I almost want these images as prints as well, because it's, first of all, it's Martha's Vineyard. It's beautiful.
Sure.
It's it's two very iconic landscapes from Jaws,
Right.
where you don't need to see any characters, you don't need to see a shark, and you still know exactly what you're looking at. And they're beautiful, but they're also terrifying because you know the implications of both of these images.
And you hear the music. It's directly tied to the music. And like Abby, a great score will take you into the movie, but I think it's also like the reverse of that. Like when you watch Jaws, if you have it on mute, you can still hear the music. So it's like that to me is like,
it's effective music, storytelling through music.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It's incredible. And I love these covers too, Jacob. Like the clouds in the sky with like the red and white striped changing tents, and the fact that is what Bruce sees is really a cool thing when you kind of realize that. Beside from that, it's just a really beautiful composition, like as a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing I want to put on my wall too.
I don't own any of the releases of the Jaws soundtrack, so this is like a must get for me. I'm really excited. I'm definitely getting. I mean, listen, you can't beat this variant, the Blood Water variant. That is so awesome to me.
It's beautiful.
But this is not the only vinyl release. And Jacob, I think you were pretty taken aback because this is not something we've really seen before. So let's talk about this. Also part of the capsule collection. It's the Jaws Selections and Studio Rarities EP. Let me just read the description first so we're all on the same page. So Mondo Music, in collaboration with Backlot Music and Universal Studios, proud to present Jaws 50 Selections and Studio Rarities from the motion picture Shape 10-inch, featuring music composed and conducted by John Williams. So if you check it out here, well, first of all, the 10-inch record has a bite out of it. So don't try to return this this is supposed to look like that. Okay? It's not an accident.
Somebody at the factory is just taking a bite out of every
That's your job.
record.
I'm the factory biter. I bite every record. I had to bite every damn one of them. Okay.
Those records just kept coming.
But it has an alternate version of the main title and an alternate version of the pier incident. I don't know if these have been released previously in any way, but I'm not familiar with them personally. Jacob, how about you?
I'm not either. And, that's like a pretty rare thing for a movie that's, 50 years
50
old.
years old.
And to be finding new things from it. So I don't know if these had ever been out there before, if there were ways to hear them, but I was pretty shocked, when I found out that there was like a rarities record coming out. This is like dream style, dream type stuff to get,
right.
Like something totally new.
Abby, what do you think of this? Not only this photograph they use for the back cover here, but I also like this like faded yellow, like vintage. It's not
looks like newspaper.
Yeah,
it looks like you're looking at an old photograph, and Chrissy in the water is both beautiful and terrifying. Like she's in a moment of terror and pain, but also she's like a beautiful female figure. So it's something that is like the movie. Like it's gorgeous to look at, but then it's also like life threatening and real people in pain dying from shark attacks.
It does not
I think that
look, just by observation, that this was a boating accident. I'm just putting that out there.
It doesn't look like a boating accident to me. No, that's like a visceral image, and the facial expression is really good.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great design choice because again, they easily could just put the Jaws poster on here and people would probably buy it. But I like that this looks like an old yellowed newspaper that you're finding in a stack. And then the contrast of the blood of the record. And I'm guessing this is like a see-through sleeve that it comes in. This to me,
for fans of the history,
this is where I'm all in on something like this because it looks like a display piece,
Yeah, well, it's just something that's so unique. And like I said, we don't have it doesn't look like anything else. It doesn't look like any other records that have come out. And it's just like, you can see how good that's going to look on display or, in with your Jaws stuff. It doesn't look like any of the other Jaws stuff I have. Yeah, let's see this inside.
Yeah, the inside of the fold, like it's almost like when you open like a record from the 60s or 70s. Like
it looks like an old movie program or something.
Yeah. So it's got like credits and description in there and some really cool stills. Those look like they're probably, I don't know if they reproduced the lobby cards or if those are like the original lobby cards they use the photography from. But you got one of my favorite scenes in the movie is being depicted right there where Quint just kind of loses his shit for a second and runs to the edge of the deck and starts shooting. It's just awesome. Yeah. I love that. So yeah, I can't wait. I think these are both really cool releases. These are to me like must buys. Like I haven't always bought a ton of Jaws stuff, but for the 50th, like I'm all in. I was also all in the 25th, but the only thing they put out was the DVD. So 25 years later, I'm back all in and I'm getting these records.
Thank you, Mondo.
Thank you, Mondo. Abby, anything else on this one?
Love it. Would want to display it. The shark bite feature is iconic. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Mondo's doing their best work, and like this is what they do best, is making records and cool storytelling and cool pictures.
Yeah, even the still on the front of everybody running out of the water is that's just a great shot to use.
I think physical media is very important, and we live in a world that tries to like erase it and get rid of it and make everything digital. And, so the fact that Mondo is keeping like physical media relevant and keeping it alive and putting out new stuff on really cool looking records like that means a lot to me. So I'm happy for it.
Yeah. Well, again, part of the capsule collection, you can get it at Mondo shop.com. And we'll be back next time, and we're going to talk about the brand new Jaws print that is also part of this capsule collection. Thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you like our Jaws coverage and everything else we do here at YHS, why don't you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
Mm-hmm.
You should. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Happy hunting, shark hunting.
Yes, have some. Yes, have some.